Shreveport, Alabama. So, Tim Spencer, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. Guys, man, I'm glad to be here again.
Well, the audience has done it again. Let's say hello to Chris Brown and David Howard. Chris's husband's also here, Carl. Hey, Carl. And they are here with the benefiting charity, Operation Healing Forces. So, Chris, David, welcome to Rick and Bubba. How are you?
Thank you.
So tell the audience, when they went out and sacrificially ate delicious food.
I did all I could.
Thank you, Bubba. And matter of fact, Bubba, they've actually named a wing after you.
Right.
So let's hear, Chris, or why don't you let the audience know, when they hear that today a check is going to Operation Healing Forces, what does that mean? What do you guys do?
Well, Operation Healing Forces, we specifically target 5% of the elite forces of all the military.
Mm-hmm.
That would be Rangers, Green Berets, Night Stalkers, Delta Force, Air Force Special Tactics, and Marine Raiders. Even though they comprise only 5% of the fighting forces, they do most of the work. They are always at war. When we pulled out of Afghanistan, the war was not over for them. In fact, my son right now is deployed for 6 months in an undisclosed location. He's probably listening right now. He better be.
Yeah. Well, thank you for his service.
Well, thank you. I actually have 2 sons that serve. But,
Wow, thank you.
But anyway, we are targeting them because they have most of the divorce rates. They have most of the suicide rates because they're constantly under pressure because of the nature of their elite service. They're constantly under pressure. My son last year was deployed 10 out of 12 months, and his wife and children were left in their overseas location for that time. So it's always that pressure. Not only are you concerned about the mission, but you're thinking about your spouse and children at home. So what we do is we try to reconnect. Our motto is creating bonds that cure. And we are trying to prevent these suicides, divorces, feeling of isolation, and things like that. And how we do this is a peer-to-peer program. We started back in 2011 with one man's vision. And when they say one person cannot make a difference, that is so wrong, as you know, as everybody knows.
Sure.
He was watching a documentary, and he was a very wealthy individual, Gary Markell. And he was watching a documentary about a Navy SEAL who had no arms and legs. And he watched this guy kind of inch his way to the ocean. And he said, if he can do that, what can I do? So he started this. And what he started was he had a yacht. So he invited, veterans and Green Berets or whatever to go on a cruise. It was called Operation Cruise. And he would go around to his friends, go around from boat to boat at the dock and knock on their door and say, hey, donate your yacht. Let's do something for these guys. Look what they do for us. So this has evolved into what it is now, which we have people donate their luxury homes, and we have week-long retreats for these guys when they come home from a deployment, when they recover from illness, injury, so many injuries. And it's 4 couples at a time. We pay all the expenses. We pay airfare. We pay food. I got involved in this because my son said, Mom, that vacation home you built in Pensacola is perfect. We had a wedding venue that we built down in Pensacola Beach. And that's how I got involved, because I asked my son, give me the name of a charity who really does a good job. And he said, there's only one thing I've heard, and that's Operation Healing Forces. And so we invite these kids, because anyone younger than me is a kid.
Right.
We invited them to come down to our place, and it's just grown from there. But we have 50 retreats a year, all at no cost to these veterans and their families. And it's not a formal counseling session. It's more of a peer-to-peer connection. Because with these guys, with what they do, nobody understands except another guy who's done it.
That's right. Right.
And so what they do is talking happens. It just happens. And it's more of a self-cure kind of thing, if you will.
No, understood.
And we just, we're about a $5 million charity. We're not very big. And but we've got a 99% rating from Charity Navigator. We're an A+ Platinum from Charity Star, and that's because our founders, Gary Markell and his brother Tony, pay 100% of all our overhead, salaries, rent, any kind of costs like that. They do that. So 83% of every dollar given goes directly to the charity. I mean, all of it goes to the guys, but the normal rating for most charities is 70, 73.
That's right.
We're 83. But every single dollar goes right to these guys. But we have branched off into doing other things. We have an immediate needs program. If we have, and this was really prevalent during the war, we had servicemen men injured on the job, and we would fly their moms, their spouses to their bedside in Germany. Sometimes they were, dying, unfortunately, but we were able to get the family members, which is something the military does not usually cover. So we handle things like that, rent, medical expenses, wheelchairs, ramps going into their houses, things like that. So that's where we are today.
That's incredible. So David, you were telling me you're the former assistant principal for one of my sons, and usually when someone's in a role like that, to dealing with any of our children, they retire soon after.
Yes, we do. Very quickly.
Yeah, so
25 and out.
Yeah, right. So how are you involved in this?
So Chris's son, he was one of my students that I made a bond with. I consider him and his parents family to me. But I guess this goes all the way back to middle school. He is still the only student that rolled my house. And he did that with his mom.
See there, already doing special forces.
Exactly. That was his first military op, was my house.
Operation Toilet Paper.
Exactly. Exactly. So we built that bond, and as he was deciding what he wanted to do with his life, he and I were having several discussions about the military, and ultimately we landed with Special Forces. I always said to him, Special Forces is the teachers of the military. They go in and they help oppressed people fight for themselves.
That's right.
So it was a great conversation that we had, and he is just a phenomenal young man. But that's how we created that bond.
Understood.
And then they invited me to a retreat to Fort Bragg.
We had an immersion experience at Fort Bragg where we shot guns and we planned missions and we cleared houses, and it was awesome. And the winner of the shooting contest, and what I wanted was going to get a Glock engraved by a third group out of Fort Bragg. He stole it from me.
Oh,
he won.
How do I
the victor?
So what
Not
was
trying
the
to brag. That's just what
competition?
happened.
How did it work?
So it was a speed competition. It was pistol and rifle. Shoot the carbine on target, and then shoot the plate. It was a metal plate set up with.
Was
the
it like
pistol.
the competitions you see where they
Yep.
do the
Yes,
horn and you shoot and
exactly.
do
Yep.
the stations? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I know there's a lot of interest in that now.
yes, yeah. I've been a long time shooter, so it was great for me. I had a great time on the retreat, but also I got to know the guys from third group. And y'all, I know a lot of people play Call of Duty and think that these are like 40-year-old gruff men, but they are young men that are trying to help their families. And this is a great organization to reintegrate them back into regular life. And they're constantly on these deployments, so it is stressful on their families. I know you guys hunt. When you go away for too many weekends, your wives are probably a little bit upset. These guys are gone 6 months over and over and over again.
It's incredible to me. What they give. Well,
Well,
anybody would sacrifice that much.
And I think
I'm glad they do.
Yeah, I think this offers, to your point, Bubba, another opportunity, because I think a lot of times people, there's some people that don't have an appreciation, but that's a different group. Then there's the group that have the proper appreciation. They just don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do to say thank you? And this is an opportunity right here that you can say thank you by coming alongside a great organization like Operation Healing Forces. So we'll come back and we'll let you guys know what happened on the charity charge, and we'll let Tim Spencer with Buffalo Wild Wings give you some good news here in a minute. And then we'll also tell you out there in Rick and Bubba land the next opportunity you have coming up on Monday. So we'll hit both of those when we come back, when the Rick and Bubba Show continues right after this.
Rick and Bubba, Rick and Bubba.